So it's been 5 years since I've owned the Omega Speedmaster, the one and only Moonwatch, the Speedmaster Professional. Well, how are the 5 years gone? Is the history and all of this paraphernalia enough to keep me engaged in this watch? Do I still enjoy wearing it? Well, you know the answer, don't you? But also, is this watch the right watch for you? Should every collection have a Speedmaster? Well, let's find out. I'm Andy and welcome to the English Watch. Now this channel is about me and my watch collecting journey, an amateur enthusiast with an eye for detail, helping like-minded individuals, like you, start your watch collecting journey. Now if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and why not subscribe? Subscribing really helps the channel grow and reach the audience it so deserves. Please check out the links below where you'll also find access to my Amazon store where there are a carefully selected few items in there, including the Moonwatch Only book, the book that every speedy fan should have, and when you're 5 years in like me, why not? I have the prior generation Speedmaster, which I bought back in 2018, and given my obvious enthusiasm for the subject, felt compelled to own the Hesalite version as a bit of a purist choice. Now this came in the big presentation box released in 2014 to celebrate 50 years of the professional model, and comes with a few novelties and straps that, well, they've never seen the light of day. However, this box set is pretty special and provides an added element to enthusiasts that Omega are so good at. Now, I won't go into the backstory, I cover that pretty comprehensively in a previous episode, which is worth a look, but needless to say, the generation remained pretty unchanged other than bracelet and movement refinements from 1974 to its eventual replacement in 2021. If you want to know what I think of the new version and will I trade up, well, hang on till the end of the video. Now some will argue that this isn't the Moonwatch because it didn't go to the moon, but this generation along with the 321 powered watches were flight qualified by NASA and did serve on many missions after Apollo for both the Americans and the Russians. And only in the Hesalite version. I'll keep drinking that Kool-Aid, it's delicious. So let's look at some of the basics of the watch, size being the big one. This is a 42mm watch, which back in 1964 would have seemed pretty large given that most gents pieces were 34 to 36mm. Now this has worked out well for Omega as they haven't needed to mess with the basic recipe from all that time ago. 42mm is now a pretty contemporary size for a sports watch. Now this isn't a slender watch, but for a chronograph at just over 40mm is about right. And being a manual wind does help, but so does the vintage mid-case design that allows the case back to nestle into the wrist, reducing the overall impact of the height. Now the lug-to-lug dimension of 48mm extending to 54 over the end links is on the large side, but the bezel is only 39mm, with the additional length of the case dropping over your wrist. Overall this is a sports watch and wears like one. Chronographs aren't supposed to be small. We talked about the history and the reason to buy, but what about the reason to keep it in the collection? Firstly, the dial is classic in look and perfectly executed for a timepiece that has a job to do. Proper tool watch attributes. The black and white is high contrast with no superfluous detailing to detract from reading the time or the sub-registers. Omega do well to keep unnecessary text off the front of the dial, and the hands are just the right size so as not to interfere or obscure. The tachometer ring on the bezel is there more as a nod to its original use of timing cars rather than rocket engine burn times, so the silver subdial text is appreciated and legible, but not at the expense of reading the dial. The Hesalite crystal has a warmth to it that the clinical sapphire doesn't, and has that little Omega logo just at the centre that can be found with that supplied jeweller's loop. Another aspect I love about this watch is the style and finishing of the case. This is from the Omega Seamaster case design first seen in the 1960s and is why the Speedmaster has the hippocampus engraved on the back. The mix of brushed and polished surfaces may be a nightmare to refinish, but allow for a patina to build up gradually where the curved edges of the lugs cheat the light. I look after my watches, but you can't cheat time, and every sleeve or pocket will eventually leave its mark. Now let's look at a few negatives. Yes, it's difficult to design the perfect watch because we've all got different tastes, and even the mighty Speedmaster lets the side down in a few areas. The first two relate to the 1861 movement and are pretty minor and probably won't bother most, but worth considering if this is going to be your only or daily watch. There's no date. That's right, if you want a chronograph with a date, you need to look elsewhere, like the Breitling Navitimer, IWC Pilot 41 or the Zenith El Primero. Some, including me, celebrate the absence of date on this watch. It's an additional complication that would betray the original tool watch design spec. Now, other Speedmasters are available with dates, just not the Moonwatch. Not specifically a fault of the movement, but more the position of the crown and crown guards is the difficulty in setting and winding this watch. The crown is just a little bit too recessed and difficult to get a thumb to. The same movement in the first Omega in space is a dull to wind, so it's plain ergonomics that let the side down. Now happily Omega have addressed this issue on the newer version, where they've designed the crown to be slightly bigger. This 1861 movement, along with the 861 and original 321, don't have hacking seconds, so you can't set the time accurately by stopping the seconds hand. Now this is not an issue for me, but maybe for you. The graduations on the minute hand allow setting pretty precisely, and as long as you treat the constant seconds hand as just an indication that the watch is running, what more do you need? You won't find hacking seconds on a Royal Oak chronograph, and that's a pretty high bar. You will be pleased to know that the new 3861 version does have hacking seconds, and it's one of the feature upgrades on the new coaxial movement. And then we get to the big one, the Bracelet. It's no secret that the Bracelet from this generation of Speedmaster is regarded as probably the worst in its history. Now I wouldn't go that far given it's a pretty well made piece of jewellery, but it does have a heft to it that just doesn't suit the vintage lines of the case. In its overall design there is continuity with a 3-link assembly with polished intermediate links. It's just bigger and chunkier. Where all of the watches that came before had a nice tapering, this Bracelet is more like a bangle and won't feel out of place on a dive watch. Out of the 5 years I've owned this watch, the Bracelet has probably spent over 4 of them in that nice big box, allowing me to indulge in other straps and bracelet options. And that's one of the other things I really like about the Speedmaster, its versatility. This may be a tool-based sports watch, but with the right accessory you can take it back in time with the Forstner flat link bracelet, go sporty with a rubber sailcloth strap like this one from Artem. But for me, the Speedy looks best on leather, and these straps allow you to dress up or dress down, suit your mood or the occasion. And on a black alligator leather strap, you have the perfect dress watch. So, would I swap my old Speedmaster for the new version? It's a good question and one I've deliberated on many times. The new sapphire sandwich is very compelling, and that new bracelet is a game changer. If you buy one yourself, make sure the dealer gives you the one with the micro adjustment. There's still old stock out there with the drilled holes on the clasp. Check Omega's own specs and make sure you get what you pay for. Now I love the new watch. The dial has all the design cues from the original 105.012 references that were originally qualified by NASA back in the 60s, including the applied logo on the Sapphire version. It's got a killer bracelet that is one of Omega's best, and at its heart a bang up to date manual wind movement with cutting edge technology and a master chronometer certification. However, the back of these watches tell a different story, and with the price on the Sapphire version reaching over £7,000, it's a difficult one to argue. They are faithful reproductions, something Omega does very well, but they don't yet have the provenance or length of service the prior generation had. Now this shouldn't matter to most, and shouldn't matter to me. There's just something cool about owning a watch that used to be on NASA's kit list. But that still leaves me with a dilemma. The new bracelet is amazing and would be a great addition to my watch, while I wouldn't really benefit from all the other refinements and upgrades. Now the good news is you can pick one up from your local AD or boutique for about £690, including the micro adjustment clasp. Now, given that the wholesale price of these is £431, it's worth asking for a little off. Yes, you can go for a Forstner or an Uncle Seiko, and they do some amazing bracelets for a fraction of the price. But if you like OEM, and I like OEM, you've got to go all in. And if I do, I'll keep you posted. Now I hope you found this insightful and recommend you consider a Speedmaster as a serious contender for your collection. It has buckets of heritage and charm that's tough to beat, and you can buy them now, today, at your nearest dealer. And given the choice in the used market, it may be worth seeking out the prior version with that 50th anniversary big box for a bit less, and buy the bracelet on the side as an accessory. Anyway, if you like this video, why not give it a thumbs up, and while you're down there, why not subscribe? Please also check out any of the affiliate links below, including access to my Amazon store, where you can find a copy of Moonwatch only. And while you're down there, why not hit the tip link? Every little helps. Please leave your thoughts on the Omega Speedmaster. Do you own one? Are you thinking of owning one? Are you thinking of getting rid of one? I'd love to know. Anyway, I'm Andy, this has been the English Watch. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.